So, when doing a presentation on the moon landing, you first have to talk about what led into it. And what led into it was known as the space race. What is the space race? So, the space race, in short, was another example of whenever the United States and the Soviet Union would dump billions of dollars into different programs just to one up each other. They did it all the time with like nuclear weapons, they did it in the Olympics, they did it in practically everything, right? And this was just another example of that. And it was not started by the United States. It was actually started by the Soviet Union. So in 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik, and it was the first satellite ever launched into space. And that looked really bad for the United States that the Soviet Union looked more technologically advanced in that aspect than the United States, and the United States did not like that. Um, and early on in the space race, uh, the Soviets actually were outperforming the United States. In April of 1961, they actually launched the first human being ever into space, Yuri Gagarin. Um, it barely succeeded, but nonetheless it did. And since it succeeded, that was just another gut punch for the United States. And it really didn't look much better until the eventual moon landing. So, how did the United States get to the moon? So, they developed quite possibly the most expensive rocket in the history of the entire world, known as the Saturn V. It weighed 6.2 million pounds at takeoff. It had 7.6 million pounds of thrust, which was enough to lift 80 semi trucks off the ground, 80 fully loaded 80,000 pound semi trucks off the ground at takeoff. It was that powerful. And it was so powerful that it would take 85 Hoover dams worth of power to power it and to lift all that weight. 85. Okay. So all of that was brought. I got all that information from the cradleofaviation.com. Okay. So on the moon landing itself, it wasn't until 1969 that the United States finally took the lead in the space race and kind of finished it off. So on July 20th, 1969, it became like the most famous words pretty much ever spoken in human history. Really, uh, Neil Armstrong said, like Houston, the Eagle has landed. And just a few minutes later, he and Buzz Aldrin would go out and take the first steps on the moon, which represent the first time humanity had ever taken a step on what was not Earth. And it's actually they're only one of like 20 people ever to even do it. So back in 1969. So Will continue the rest of um, the moon landing and the details about it.